budget for a full year of school, how to make the payments. We're going to talk about health insurance, which is a mandatory part of being an international student here. We're going to talk about scholarships and assistantship, how to make the payments. We're going to talk about health insurance, which is a mandatory part of being an international student here. We're going to talk about scholarships and assistantship, how to make the payments.
Hey, it is.
Just a moment, everyone. I just want to make sure I have my settings right here.
It's good. I think you're good now. I muted the YouTube. We are live
Okay.
now.
Let's see here. Okay. There we go. All right. So we're also going to talk about working on campus, which is something that a lot of international students take advantage of. It's a nice opportunity and way to make some money as a student here. All right. So how to plan your budget. JJ, how do you feel about budgeting?
Yeah, I mean, budgeting is honestly, that's the main important part that you have to do as you start looking at, universities, specifically when you are in the stage that you're coming. Specifically, it's very important looking at budget because you have to know, like, what school costs, what you need to budget a little bit more because sometimes you have to move in, so you gotta come with a little bit extra, and specifically the first week you have to pay your insurance. So it's a lot of I would say details that you have to pay attention when it comes to budgeting. That's why this session is ideal for you, as we break it down so you can really understand how budgeting works and how important it is to know how to budget be an international student.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me see here. I'm just getting our chat pulled up from YouTube. So hello everyone on YouTube. Please feel free to ask questions here as well. We'll do a little Q&A at the end of the session today. But yeah, so let's talk about what goes into budgeting for college. So we have estimated cost of attendance. We're going to talk about tuition and fees, kind of the big one that people think about. Living expenses. We have to have somewhere to live, and we're going to have to pay for it likely. Health insurance. We'll talk a little bit more about this later, but that's also required. Books and supplies. A lot of times your classes will require you have certain books and certain things in order to complete the class. And there's not a lot of getting around that. And then personal expenses. There's going to be things like that and maybe some surprise ones as well. So you want to make sure that you're prepared so that you don't end up in a tough financial situation, which adds a lot of stress to the whole experience of being here. So, um, when we talk about the budget and we kind of show you the estimated breakdown of how things work, just be aware that these costs are not included in that budget. So things like your CVIS I-901 fee, which is $350. Thankfully, this does last for 365 days after you pay it. That money does not go to us. This goes to the government so that they can track your school records kind of as you are here. There will also be visa fees of $185. And then you also have things like getting to Mankato for school. So you have your travel expenses like airfare, shuttle cost, a hotel if you need to stay somewhere before you get here, and then various other expenses that come with traveling. So a lot to keep in mind. Again, we just want you to be as prepared as possible so that you can have the best experience possible while you're here and you can just focus on being a student and enjoying all that comes with that. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about undergraduate tuition costs. JJ, do you want to start with this one?
Yes, for sure. I think this is a very important, again, when you're talking about, cost, because, there's some misconception about like cost of attendance, tuition. So that's why now we are breaking it down for you guys to really understand how the costs work and what will be the expectation for payment. So first thing, we want to take a look at this picture here on the slide, the estimated international student cost of attendance. So in this picture, as you can see different numbers. First thing, I will say, typically when you come to a university, specifically Mankato, you will be paying per semester. So that's why we broke it down in per semester. First semester, second semester. So you will see with the first semester, the estimated that you will pay for tuition only. So tuition, what it means, classes and some um, extra administrative cost that comes to it, but it's mainly tuition, it's classes. That's what we're referring with tuition and fees. So with the International Maverick Scholarship, which mainly you guys will get once you get admitted, that comes automatically on your balance. It's about 6,392 that you will be paying for that semester. So it's basically between 12 to 18 credits that you can enroll, and you'll be paying the same amount basically. The second semester, always is the same thing because you have 6,392 again that you'll be paying for tuition. So the total for first and second semester for a full year at Mankato is about 12,784, basically. So just for you to know, once it's basically a standard cost because it's from 12 to 18 credits you enroll, you will be paying the same amount with the International Maverick Scholarship that we have to offer for you. So yeah. And then for the second tier is the living expenses. The living expense is, a student that lives on campus. We have on-campus dormitories, on-campus housing, what we call it. Specifically, we have three residential hall for first-year students. Correct me if I'm wrong, Violet. I believe we have three freshmen, basically for first-year students, and we have an estimated cost for each of them too, which is about 13,376. But in this cost also, you can see on the slide here includes your meal plan. So these costs is based on the highest meal plan that you can get, the anytime meal plan that you can get, unlimited meal plan, and then also one of the highest costs for one of the dormitories that we have. Again, this is an estimate because when you actually go on the website and see the dormitories we have available, they all have different prices. But this is a set price that we have put in terms of the I-20. So thank you, Violet, for responding to that question. So that's why we had to put a specific amount that based on the dormitories and the meal plan that you can get that's called room and board, so you can get a fixed price to get housing and meal plan. And then the other tier, like Violet mentioned in the first slide, to have some additional expenses that comes to the cost. Specifically, we have to organize international student orientation, which definitely that comes with a small fee of $200. That's all included in the cost. And then also book supplies. Again, this is an estimate of that we had to put on the balance because every student is different. Every class that you take might require specific books, maybe a code or specific like materials. So every class is different. Every book has different prices. But this is an estimate that students pay average per year for books and supplies for the classroom. Depends what major they are, what program they're in, and what you're going to study. Constant cost here, constant cost means this typically doesn't change, is your health insurance. Health insurance is constant because it's cost that you have to pay yearly, and that cost right now is about 2,700. And your insurance typically you pay it for a year. So this cost you will be insured at Mankato for about a year that you pay insurance. That's why this is honestly the most important part because the first week that you come, you're expected to pay the 2,700 in order to enroll in your classes. So very important to take that in consideration as you're looking at your budget, what you're gonna come with, what you're gonna fly with. This insurance is very important. That's what you have to really emphasize. You have to pay the insurance the first week when you come here, because typically the other part, which is the tuition and the full semester, needs to be paid by the end of September. But Violet will go over that soon when we talk about deadlines. Personal expenses, again, when we talk about personal expenses, is what Violet mentioned about additional, transportation. You have to, move into the dorms, your flight ticket, that can be to, personal expenses that you have to go out of pocket for it. Anything specifically that needs to take care of you being here on campus is all that we put in the personal expenses. So that's why it's very important to that's in the cost, because that's, the expectation that you will have extra costs when it comes to studying in the US. And the total other expense is about 6,900. Again, estimate that we are calculating for every international student. So this is how we break it down, so you can really understand different perspective from tuition and fees, from your classes that you will be taking, 12 to 18 credits, living expenses, the dorms, and the meal plan that you will be choosing. And then, of course, additional expenses that comes with orientation fee, your books that you have to buy, your health insurance, which is a mandatory cost that you have to pay the first week, and your personal expenses that comes with studying in the US.
Thank you, JJ. And I just want to point out a couple of other things too with this. So, the International Maverick Scholarship is something that you can continue to have every single year as an undergraduate student, as long as you continue to meet the academic standards required for it and you stay in F1 status. So, so please keep that in mind. You really want to make sure that you keep your GPA up so that you can continue to get this really amazing scholarship every year. The other thing I want to point out too is the just to add more emphasis to the health insurance part, like JJ said, you do have to pay this in order to register for your classes. So you need to come to campus the week of orientation prepared to pay the $2,700 so that you can register for classes. This is a very firm rule that we have, so please be prepared to do that. There's various ways that you can pay this, and we'll talk about that more as we go on. Also, I do want to mention too that students can live off campus, and that cost is hard to predict. So that's another option. But just when I try and budget things personally, I really try and make sure that I budget over rather than budget under, because budgeting under might put you in a really tricky situation versus being a little more prepared than we need to be gives us that cushion so that we know that we can safely, you know, take care of everything we need to. Okay, so let's talk about graduate tuition and costs. Um, Feel free to let us know in the chat if you're doing undergraduate or graduate starting this spring. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the tuition. So this one is just a little bit different. We don't have the International Maverick Scholarship for graduates. So the cost for the fall semester and spring semester individually is $7,609. And this is an estimate because there can be some variance from program to program. So we actually have a whole list of those on the website. If you go to mnsu.edu and just put in the search bar international graduate estimate, it'll kind of come up, and it'll also show you a link that you can click on to see specifics for the programs. We also have a very similar other estimated expenses for the graduate program here. So again, you have food and housing for on campus, an estimate for that, books and supplies, international student orientation fee, health insurance, personal expenses, and student fees. So very similar to the undergraduate side of things. So that I think is all I have for that. JJ, anything to add about graduate tuition?
No, I think some programs, I know, depends what program you're in, might have some additional fees. But definitely this is the standard cost typically when it comes to graduate school, basically. And I will say a lot of graduate students do, they tend to live off campus. And again, like Violet said, it's a very hard to predict because we have different, I will say, housing around, campus that students live. But definitely, this is the standard cost that also applies to graduate student. So yeah.
All right, so let's talk about how to pay for the things. So, how does billing work? Students are billed per semester. Again, you must make the health insurance payment before you're allowed to register for classes. If you do that before you get to campus, you can do that in your e-services. Otherwise, that week that you are here for orientation, which is mandatory, you have to be prepared to pay that health insurance cost. Orientation fee is $200, and that will be put onto your account the week after orientation. So in your e-services, this again, it's mandatory and it's so helpful for getting you set up so that you can have a successful semester here. Your tuition will be billed after you register for classes. So we get a lot of questions about paying this before people get to campus. We have to make sure that you're registered for the classes that you're going to be in. And then after the semester starts, that will be added to your e-services account. Let's talk about how to make payments. So we have Flywire. So if you want to do a direct bank transfer, we recommend this because it has a great exchange rate. There is a $25 fee every time you do one of these, but at least it's a flat fee. So whether you're transferring, large sums of money or whatever, it's just that $25. You can also pay online with a credit card. In person, you can pay with cash, credit card, debit card, or Apple Pay down at our cashier's office. And then we also offer an automated monthly payment plan. There is a $34 enrollment fee per semester to set this up, but the payment can be made the fifth day of each month. So this is a nice way to just kind of break that up. Um, and that's it for that. Any questions and anything to add, JJ?
Yeah, I mean, I just said that, when you come here, definitely we will, give you like a campus tour so you know where you have to go in order to pay these your tuition. And then typically you will have access to your student account, which you will be able to see your balance. That's typically as soon as you enroll in classes, you will be able to see your balance, what it is and what you have to pay. So you know like what's the expectation for that semester. So yeah.
All right. Student health insurance. This is something that is, not fun to pay for, but it is required even if you already have insurance somewhere else. So this is again totally mandatory. You must pay for it during orientation. I feel like I've said that about 30 times already
Yeah.
just in this one webinar, but I can't stress that enough. You need to be ready to pay for that because you need to get enrolled for your classes. Very important. So the spring 2026 intake students will need to pay $1,513 for spring 2026/summer 2026. I am not sure actually. Let's see here. Sorry. Okay, and then you will pay for the full fall 26 to spring 27 insurance in July 2026. You can pay for health insurance with a debit or credit card, cash, Apple Pay, money order, or online and e-services. So you can either pay that when you're here on campus, or you can do that online.
And then,
Um,
what I want to add, Violet, definitely, I know we've been stressing about insurance because, if something happens to you that first week and you're not insured, we'll be realistically in the session because healthcare in the US can be expensive. And we don't want you to have a big bill coming in the first week, and that adds a lot of stress to you. So that's why we very, very emphasize to pay the insurance the first week to come with budget to do it because if something happens to you, you will be covered. And then basically will not be paying, a big bill the first week and you freak out. So definitely that's why we emphasize so much on this insurance because in the past we had things happen. And then now we want to avoid that to happen to our students. So definitely that's why insurance is very important and it's mandatory to pay for the first.
yeah. So just to clarify again, it's $1,513 for basically the start of the spring semester all the way through July, and then July you'll pay the full amount for the full year. So you're paying just a smaller amount since you're starting kind of in like the middle of our year that we have this, and then you'll pay the full amount in July. That'll go from July all the way through to the next July. Okay. JJ, do you want to talk about
Scholarship.
scholarships?
Yes, that's important. Yes, I know we mentioned it at the first slide. We talk about like scholarship. What we have to offer here at Mankato is the International Maverick Scholarship. That's based on admission. So when you get admitted and you come to campus right away, you will see this on your balance. Your balance will change, and with the scholarship added. And then basically, like Violet mentioned, to keep the scholarship, you will be able to need to keep a 2.5 GPA or a 2.0 cumulative GPA. So that's why it's very important to, we want we want you to keep being a good student, and that's why maintaining your GPA a certain level will also open more doors to more opportunities, like the second option, the Enrolled Student Scholarship with Scholarship Finder. This scholarship mainly is for students who are already here. So typically, if you come here your first year, typically your second year, or your second semester, you can apply for these scholarship. These scholarship are very, I would say, detailed towards specific major. A lot of them you can search. I don't know, Violet, if you can put the link in the chat. But so they can take a look at it. But this scholarship, you search what you are majoring in, then you can have a list of scholarship. These scholarships, they range from $1,000 to almost $5,000 a year that you can get as scholarship, but definitely it's not for new incoming students. Yeah, it's not really a lot of scholarship for them, but mainly when you are here already, you can go into the scholarship finder in February specifically. That's when majority of them open. And some of them are actually open until May, June. But majority of the scholarship are basically you can get them for the next fall. So basically, if you come in the spring, you might want to apply for like it will be open in February for fall 2026 typically, but majority of them it's for students who are already finished their first year and going into the second year, and they can apply for the scholarship. But definitely take advantage of the scholarship finder because you can apply as many as you can as long you're eligible and you meet the criteria. Typically, it's a very short assignment you have to do. Maybe write an essay, fill out some questionnaire in order to be, I would say, eligible for the scholarship and to get the scholarship. And so definitely take advantage when you're here to, take your time and search for scholarship that you qualify for because definitely it can help you reduce the cost when you're here. So yeah.
And I have good news, everyone. So we forgot to update the number for the International Maverick Scholarship listed on here. It's actually $7,678 now. But you'll see that reflected on your I-20 and then also in your discounted tuition. And
Hey,
then I'm going to go ahead and assume also that the number here for the spring health insurance portion is actually going to be a little bit higher because it's probably closer to half of that 2,700. So just to let you know, JJ, sorry, did I cut you off?
no, no, you're good. That's good.
And then I just added that link in the chat if you'd like to check that out. It shows all of the international scholarships that we have, and then also the link for the scholarship finder, which again is more so something that you can look into when you're a current student here. So, all right. JJ, do you
Housing.
want to talk about
Yeah,
housing?
so we talk about from the beginning about the breaking down of the costs, and housing is an important aspect because of course you have to find a place to live. But we want to have a comparison here, as you can see on the slide, what typically costs are for living on campus and off-campus rent. So students can have, a perspective about, oh, I'm gonna try to live on campus and in the dorms and get a full college experience, or I'll go live off campus with some friends too. That's we have off campus housing that's right across the campus, so it's very close, basically. So as you can see on the slide here, the monthly cost for a 12-month on campus about 1,300 room and meal plan. Some are not included. So typically, when you pay for housing, it's for 9 months, typically, because summer is not included. So that's why you're not paying for like a full year, but you're paying for 9 months. The advantage of off campus, you're paying for 12 months, so you can stay even in the summer in there. So you know, typically off campus housing in the cost, includes rent, utilities, food, renters insurance. That's what some of the renters, some of them have different other requirements too. Requires 1 to 2 semester contract. Once you sign the contract, you locked in for both semesters, so you need to know. So if you come here in the spring and want to change in the fall, typically there's not, basically because you are signing for a full year. So you're signing for all 9 months. So that's why you need to, after you're done with the 9 months contracts, then you will be able to say if you want to live off campus. Um, it's not the same for off campus. Usually require 12 months lease and security deposit. A lot of, I would say, landlords, that's what we call them here, that owns the rent places, they are asking for at least a security deposit so they know that you can save your space where you have to be. And the same comes for on campus. There is a specific house deposit that you have to do because of course you have to save your space, and the same comes for off campus housing. Spring 26 application open October 6th. So basically you can still apply to live on campus. And then, like I said, the off-campus houses are very, very close to campus, just 1 to 3 kilometers from campus, very close. In the dorms, also we have 4 room types. We have double, single, triple that you can choose from. And in the off-campus housing, live alone or with roommates, depends. There's 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom apartments that you can find. Depends on your needs and what you can afford. That's very important. And then typically in an estimate of on-campus housing, we have about 27 residents in total that live in the dorms. And then 19 learning communities, 4 meal plan options, live with 1 or 4 roommates. So that's the whole experience that on-campus housing gives you. That's what you're paying for to, be a part of the community, have access to the cafeteria and all the, I would say, food that we have on campus at the clubs. But off campus, again, you are a little bit more independent. Have responsible for your own cooking, doing groceries. You have to use we have bus services that you can utilize for free, basically, with your MAP card. Just identify that you're a student here. And then, of course, if you still want, you can have a meal plan. Living off campus, it's not that if you don't live if you don't live on campus, you don't get a meal plan. No, it is, you can still get the meal plan for what you can afford, and then enjoy the cafeteria food that we have or other amenities that we have on campus. So these are just some differences that we want you guys to let you know, a little bit of a comparison as you're looking at your budget, and if you're looking to get a full experience living on campus, or be more independent and being a rent and living off campus. So yeah.
Thank you, JJ.
And then the same here, this is the housing comparison. And when it comes to like prices, average monthly cost is 1,300 living on campus for 12 months, basically. And then off campus, it's about 1,100, so a little bit cheaper. But again, you'll have to walk across in order to get to campus, and you have to pay rent every month, which when you live on campus, you pay typically one a month, and you are locked in for 9 months, basically. So that's a big difference. Like I said, the deposit that you have to pay for both to save your space is very important. meal plan options. So these are just like comparison that you have when you are living on campus compared to off campus.
And then if you want to, you can go back into the YouTube channel for Kearney Center and look at our live stream recordings. PJ does a really great webinar all about housing if you want even more information. So, um, let's see. Ah, renting 101. So,
Mm-hmm.
very important that you understand that a lease or a contract with a landlord is binding. So they're generally 12 months long and they do not always include utilities. So this can be different from landlord to landlord. Um, so just be mindful of that. Utilities are basic services such as water, sewer, electric, gas, trash, and recycling. You must sign up for utilities separately and you will be billed separately as well. So if your landlord in your contract says that you owe, $1,000, you might also have all of these other utility bills on top of that. So important to keep that in mind when you are shopping for housing. Um, Most apartments will not include all utilities, but some pay for a few of them. And then PJ created this and they pay for gas, electric, and Wi-Fi. Water, trash, recycling is included with their lease. So depends on which kind of situation you find. Just make sure you are reading what the contract says before you sign it. Know what you're getting into, ask questions, and yeah, just be informed as you go about it. JJ, anything to add to that?
No, I think this is very important as you for you to understand what's a lease, and then what's the expectation of paying utilities because some students are not familiar how the system works, and then definitely having a better insight on the detailed the bills that you have every month so you don't miss them because that has a lot of consequences here in the United States. So definitely knowing if you want to live on campus how this system work is very important for not getting in trouble when it comes to bills and rent in the United States.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the real big benefits of housing on campus is that you have a very set and fixed amount that you're paying every single month. It's very straightforward, um, which I think is really helpful for budgeting. And then also, we love on-campus housing for a first year here at least, just so you can really like make things a little bit easier and simpler on yourself. So. Let's see here. Important other things to know about renting. Again, we talked about this, but it is a legally binding contract and you can't just leave the
Mm-mm.
apartment midway
You
through
can.
the lease. So
Mm-mm.
whether you like it or not, you've signed a contract, so you do legally need to fulfill that.
Yeah,
Um,
and even if you set, one case I can set a valid, even if you want to leave, definitely there is a specific fee that they're gonna ask you for to pay before you end up leaving, before your contract ends. So just for you to know that. So um, be very wary who you're rooming with, who is your roommate, because in the past, there were some issues and people want to leave, but they cannot, break their contract. So these things happen. So definitely, read your contract very carefully as you sign these.
yes. And if this is your first time signing anything like this, I know for me, when I moved into my first apartment, I had my parents look over the contract with me so that they could kind of help read through it and help me understand exactly what everything meant, just so that I had a second opinion. So it's good to have help or ask for it when you can.
Mhm.
So let's go ahead. Let's see. Oh yeah, there are sometimes things in leases about owning pets, noise violations. You might be asked to get renter's insurance. So again, most importantly, read clearly and think before you sign it. So yeah, lots of learning that will be happening even outside of the classroom here. All right.
And
JJ?
health insurance, like we emphasize again, basically all F1 and J1 international students are required to purchase student health insurance in the US That's actually a state requirement. It's not even us. That's a state requirement that we have here in Minnesota. United Healthcare is the Minnesota state insurance provider, which they are really great when it comes to covering and your costs. If you have to go to any medical institution, if something happens to you, estimated cost of insurance for 12 months is about 2640 and must be paid annually. That's mainly when you come in the fall. But like Violet mentioned, there's a specific fee because you're mainly paying for spring and summer, and then you have to pay again for a full year when it
Yeah, so
comes to insurance. Yeah,
closer to 2,700 for the full year now.
for the full year. And then health insurance must pay before class registration. So that's why um, that full amount must be paid before you meet with your advisor and register for your classes. So that's why it's very important, again, emphasizing paying the health insurance here in Minnesota.
Okay, graduate students, let's talk about TAs and GAs. These are a really awesome way to lower the cost of your tuition and make life a little bit more affordable while you're here on campus. Um, so there is up to a 9 credit tuition waiver per semester if you do get one of these graduate assistantships or teaching assistantships. There is up to a $10,000 stipend per academic year. So 5K, and I think that's supposed to say per semester. 10 to 20 hours per week of work commitment, depending on part-time or full-time. So this is something that you'll apply for after you're admitted. And then students with a GA will still need to show funding. So there, it does cover a portion of that, and you can include your GA letter in your I-20 request, but then there will still be more expenses beyond what the GA covers. We talked about all the miscellaneous costs in addition to just the tuition and housing and whatnot. So keep that in mind. Anything to add to that, JJ?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the past, I was a former international student and I was a GA and definitely take advantage of this because you get the experience right on campus. And this really builds your portfolio as you're trying to get a job after that. And yeah, definitely, pay part of your tuition and you get a small stipend, which really helps with, grocery shopping, paying your rent and stuff. So definitely take advantage. Mainly where you can get this assistantship after you get admitted is on Handshake. That's where all those gets placed, so you can see what's available for the upcoming semester or for next year. So definitely take advantage and apply for this assistantship if you are a grad student.
Okay, on-campus employment. This is a big topic, always. So undergraduate students can work up to 20 hours per week during the semester. They can work up to 40 hours per week during summer and winter breaks. This is super important and needs to be followed in order for you to maintain your status. Graduate students can work up to 14 hours per week year-round unless working as a GA or TA. And you can apply for jobs after you're enrolled here at MSU through Handshake. JJ, anything to add to that?
No, you knock it out. It's
All
pretty
right.
accurate with the job.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
All right.
Immunization, basically that's all of it when it talks about the medical records that we need to have in order to make sure that you have these vaccines basically, or if you don't have them, definitely again the insurance might be able to cover them. So that's why bring records of immunization if you have these. The Tdap, what we call here, is for tetanus and diphtheria, and then the MMR is for measles, mumps, and rubella. Some countries, some students do these vaccines when they're very young, but definitely if you can bring those records, that really helps our health services department, so they can put it in the records that the students have this vaccine, basically. And then, of course, like I mentioned, if you do not have any immunization records to bring, that's completely fine. you will be asked to take the vaccination after orientation week. And yeah, of course, that will be covered by your insurance that you have paid for that week. Again, another important part why you have to pay that insurance for the first week, because you will be covered for your vaccines if you don't have that. Yeah.
All right, spring orientation. Again, it's just around the corner. I can't believe it.
Oh yeah,
It will
couple
not look like
weeks.
it does in this picture here. This is like green, summery, and warm. It's actually probably going to be very white and cold. So bring your jackets, bring a hat to cover your ears, bring gloves to keep your hands warm, and be ready for a winter experience. So attendance in with orientation is mandatory and it's so helpful. It will completely set you up to be successful here at MSU. It will acquaint you with the campus and the people, and you'll get to meet some other students. And this is where you're going to get registered for classes. So, kind of important. You'll meet with an academic advisor and they'll help you to get ready for classes. So, orientation dates Monday, January 5th through Friday, January 9th. You have to arrive on or before January 4th, so the day before orientation. The first day to enter the US is 30 days before the orientation start date. So, very soon. So, some of you might be on your way. Um,
And
so
then I think definitely I can say, Violet, if the student doesn't have a place to stay, definitely if they can stay with family, or because the dorms don't open until that first week of orientation. So definitely if you're planning to come in December, definitely have a conversation if you have acquaintance or somebody to stay with them. Because the dorms, if you plan to live on campus, the dorms doesn't open until that first week of of orientation. And then if you have already, in talks to find a apartment, yeah, definitely you can do that. You can move in, but definitely for folks who are trying to live on campus, this is very important information.
all right, upcoming webinars or webinar. We only have one more because we're getting so close to the spring semester. So December 18th at 11 a.m., we're going to do an orientation overview. We'll cover everything that you're going to experience that week, and you'll learn why it's so important that you are here for orientation. Again, it's required. So plan on being here again January 4th or sooner. There's more information in the KIC portal, so feel free to get registered for that as soon as you're done here today. Also, we will be live on Instagram next Monday, so December 8th
Hmm.
at 10 a.m. Central Time. We will be just hanging out and casually answering your questions. So it's a very laid back kind of way of getting to know the KIC people. And, if you have miscellaneous questions about anything campus related, you can totally come in and chat with us. It's a lot of fun. So, um, yeah. Any questions, anyone? Anything to add, JJ?
No, I just a reminder to folks who have missed. We have all these recordings on YouTube, so you can go and watch topics that you have missed, that you have questions about. But yeah, definitely join us December 18th, and our Instagram live are always so fun. How we interact with the students and who participate in our life. So definitely be engaged with us as you are getting closer. Um, to come to Mankato. And if you're flying soon, safe travels. Make sure you have all your paperwork with you as you travel, and all the best.
As always, you can follow us on social media. We have Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We have a really awesome social media crew that is working out of the International Center, and they post all kinds of fun content. So you can kind of get a feel for what it's actually like here on campus and all of the shenanigans that we get up to, and just the vibrant student life that we have here that you should be hopefully pretty excited about. So, I again just can't believe that we're weeks away from spring semester. We can officially say that spring semester starts next month. So
Next month.
pretty
Yeah.
cool. All right, everyone. You know where to find the spring 2026 arrival calendar. All the info is in your KIC portal, and we're super excited to welcome you to campus. As always, you can email international@mnsu.edu if you have any questions. We're here to help you. We want you to get here. We want you to have a really awesome spring semester. And yeah, we have a whole international center here dedicated to helping you. So let us know if you have any concerns, questions, needs, and yeah, we'll see you next month.
Thank you guys. It was a pleasure.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.